What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I am back with another video. With this time once again, we're going to look at one of the greatest players of all time, that being Michael Jordan, and also his best teammate, that being Scottie Pippen. Now recently Scottie's been in the news a lot, as he's been trashing Michael Jordan publicly to the media. And once again it's a pretty big shock that Pippen is dragging Jordan through the mud, as these guys spent their entire primes playing together and winning 6 championships, three-peating twice. And both players are highly regarded, with Jordan being a top 2 player at worst, and Scottie Pippen being at worst top 50. And I feel like most NBA fans who know the game, know the history, they give Scottie his due credit as the second option to Michael Jordan on those Bulls teams. But unfortunately Scottie doesn't think fans, the media, or even Jordan himself give him his due credit. So today, we're going to look at Scottie Pippen's comments on Jordan, kind of dissect them, and see if he's telling the truth, or just trying to sell a book and make some quick cash. Now before we get into that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so, and if you could like this video, I greatly appreciate it. So that being said, let's get into the video. So first up in the video, let's look at Scottie Pippen's comments that he gave to the New York Times, and some of these quotes come from his book Unguarded. One of the quotes reads, "Michael and I aren't close and never have been." So pretty clear cut right there. Pippen says him and Jordan, they were never close and they never came together as really close teammates. I think on face value, Scottie Pippen, that's his personal opinion. I have no insight to the 90s Bulls, and sports is well known. Star player teammates sometimes aren't the best of friends, but can coexist on the court. So this quote right here could definitely be true, as only a handful of players were in that Bulls locker room. Now looking at Scottie's next quote, this refers to the Last Dance documentary, which is a 10-hour special on Jordan and the Bulls dynasty. In this quote, Pippen says, "How dare Michael treat us that way after everything we did for him and his precious brand?" So 2 things in that quote stand out. Pippen basically says Jordan didn't give him credit, and Michael owes a lot to him and his Bulls teammates. Which, yes, that is true. Basketball, it is a team game at the end of the day, and Pippen, just like Jordan, was a piece of that team. Now the part that doesn't make sense is where Pippen says, "How dare Michael do that?" I don't know what he's referring to, what specific clip, but in the entire documentary, I thought Jordan was pretty flattering to Scottie. He even went out of his way and gave Scottie and Rodman their own separate episodes. He also featured guys like Steve Kerr numerous times in the doc. And Scottie in particular had the longest run time for any other player not named Jordan or the director. And even looking past the doc, where Jordan said this,
"He helped me so much in the way that I approached the game, the way I played the game. Whenever they speak Michael Jordan, they should speak Scottie Pippen." When everybody says, "Well, I won all these championships, but I didn't win without Scottie Pippen." And, that's why I consider him my best teammate of all time.
You can also look to Jordan's Hall of Fame speech, where the first person he thanked was Scottie Pippen.
In all the videos, you never just saw me. You saw Scottie Pippen. Every championship I won.
So in both those excerpts, Michael Jordan gives Scottie Pippen more than his due credit and acknowledges Pippen was a huge integral piece of that dynasty. Now looking at the next quote from the article, Pippen refers to Jordan being selfish, claiming his retirement in '93 was sudden and abrupt and threw off the Bulls the next season. So again, 2 things in this clip. Jordan retiring, do I think it was selfish? No, not really. His dad was murdered in the off-season. So keep that in mind. Michael Jordan is quote-unquote selfish, according to Scottie, for retiring after his dad was murdered. And I do find it kind of rich Scottie is calling Jordan selfish, when that very same year Pippen pouted on the bench when the last shot was given to Tony Kukoc. That right there is the definition of being selfish, and once again it's pretty ironic that Scottie is calling Jordan the selfish teammate.
Scottie, Phil just said you weren't in because you asked Sal to play.
Yeah, pretty much.
Or you weren't involved in it.
But the Bulls survived without Scottie. Tony Kukoc hit a 22-footer to win it for the Bulls.
And also looking at the Bulls team in '97, they were actually going to trade Scottie Pippen for a young T-Mac. But the guy who stopped that trade was Michael Jordan himself, the quote-unquote selfish teammate. And once again, speaking of selfish, Scottie in '98 held on surgery and missed the first half of the season. That right there could definitely be deemed as selfish to an older Bulls team. Now, the last big time quote I saw was that Pippen called Jordan condescending in a documentary. And if you look very closely at the bottom in very fine print, you see the following words. Read an exclusive excerpt from Scottie Pippen's upcoming memoir, Unguarded. That right there sums up everything. Scottie Pippen with these quotes, with these headlines, he's trying to gain buzz for his new book and get some quick cash. So basically when it comes down to it, Scottie will throw anyone under the bus to make a quick buck or get a quick headline. He did the same thing to Phil Jackson by calling racist back in 2020. And the real sad part of this story is that Pippen, in many NBA circles with fans, former players, looking at legends, they all hold him in high esteem. Even as an anchor for ESPN, I thought his presence was pretty great on some of the shows, and the stories he had were pretty insightful. But looking past that, Scottie has trashed all of his teammates, he's burned bridges, and now people look at him as a snake and a very deceitful liar who's bitter about past things from 25 years ago. So by doing all of this, Pippen, he's had the opposite effect of what he thought. He's lost immense respect from fans as well as some players. And I'm sure his Bulls teammates don't look at him quite the same. And speaking of perspective, I think Scottie's big problem is that him and Jordan aren't seen as equals. I think that fact burns Scottie up when looking at the credit players get, the money, the contracts, etc. At the end of the day, Scottie, you're a great player, but you're not Michael Jordan, a global superstar who changed basketball forever. And as we know from most duos, there's a 1A and a 1B. And sadly for Scottie, he was the 1B to Michael Jordan's 1A. And one last thing very quickly, let's all take 1 minute to give Scottie Pippen the benefit of the doubt. In the past year alone, Scottie has lost one child, and his wife has been a proven who's passed around by every 25-year-old NBA role player. That right there for anyone psychologically could definitely mess you up. And for Scottie, he's definitely going through something because these comments are kind of out of the norm and really odd for a former NBA player to trash his teammates in that way. So as always, thank you guys for watching this video, hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys know Scottie Pippen is still an all-time great player, but these comments, they're not really coming from Scottie, they're coming from some odd place of resentment and bitter hatred. At the end of the day, he's trying to sell a book and make a quick buck. So that being said, thank you guys for watching, I'll see you guys next time.